much she does. So I'm going to read through this for you, and sorry, can you hear me now, everybody? I feel like I'm yelling all the time. Okay, so I was trying to keep it brief, but I want to read this because I think everybody needs to remember how hard she works and what she does and what she has done. What? Uh-oh.
So at 12, right after this meeting is over, right around 11:30, 12 o'clock, we're doing a new group picture out in front of the building. So no one gets to leave. But please join us out in the front of the building, so that
the young people.
Yeah.
We're happy to see you here.
Yes. So please join us so we can. We're doing a new photo that's going to be for our website.
And
right?
our brochures.
And our brochures. So very. Oh, so if you want. I love it. Thank you, Luke. So, yeah, please join us for the picture right after this meeting. Sorry, Tori.
You can tell by Luke's outfit that we're taking a group picture today.
Okay, great. Now can you still hear me? Tory Roberg is a social worker who changed paths into public policy advocacy when she realized that real change occurs at the policy level. She is a well-respected professional lobbyist at the state capitol, known for her work to promote minority groups and otherwise unpopular issues among the legislative majority. She has been the director of government affairs for the Secular Coalition for Arizona for the past 6 years. Her work has repeatedly put her on the front lines of important social battles. She was one of just 4 voices at the state Senate arguing passionately against the abhorrent SB 1062, which, in case you don't remember, a religious freedom bill and which was also anti-gay bill, when it was introduced, after which she helped energize the equality community to defeat the law. She's organized rallies, crafted strategies for advocacy groups, unified disparate voices, and aggressively lobbied to enact positive change. Tory has worked at the organizational, state, legislative, and federal government level, helping unify various and sometimes disparate. I'm sorry, I screwed up. Let me start over. She has repeatedly fought injustice and kept spotlights on those that governments overlook, and she will proudly continue doing so for nonprofits and advocacy groups that also want to make the world a better place. Tory is known for her endurance, her spunk, her intelligence, and her willingness to continue fighting for what's right and just. She truly shows courage in the face of adversity. She is a member of the Humanist Society of Greater Phoenix, Phoenix Atheist Meetup Group, Free Thought Arizona, and a board member of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, Valley of the Sun chapter. Please help me welcome Tory Roberg.
Just a second, I'm gonna flip this on. Hey, here we go. How you doing? All right. I had a thing. Let's see. You know, I have a dress that has pockets in it, and it's like one of my favorite dresses. This one does not have a pocket, so I have to hold this. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. There we go. Okay. Woo. Thanks. Thank you. I'm okay. So hi everybody. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for welcoming me back another year to the Humanist Society of Greater Phoenix to talk about politics. Is anyone in this room interested in politics? Anybody? I'm glad. And if you're not interested in politics, maybe you will be after the end of this presentation, because I'm going to show you what what we've done over the last year. I'm going to highlight some of the major bills that we worked on. I'm going to talk about the issues that we work on and why it's important to have a lobbyist at the state capitol, and why it's important to support the Secular Coalition, because we do really showcase your values. We are all one community. You heard in the introduction, I'm a member of this group. I'm a member of Free Thought, Phoenix Atheist Meetup Group, Freedom from Religion Foundation. It's not just a job to me. This is something I actually care a lot about, promoting secular government. Let's see. All right. So we are your voice for separation of church and state here locally in Arizona. We focus on Arizona issues only. We are an affiliate of the Secular Coalition for America, so if you want to talk about national issues, you go to the national group, they'll help you. We are the only affiliate in the entire country of the Secular Coalition. They have chapters, they have many chapters, but we are the only affiliate, and words matter, and the reason why is because as an affiliate, we do our own fundraising, and we also control our program. Nobody tells us what to do, so we literally are the only state in the entire country that has had the means from the community donating to hire a lobbyist. You are the only state in the country that has a lobbyist at the state capitol. That's it. No other state does. And I've been there for 6 years, so thank you. But I don't do it alone. Not at all. I work hard, but I do not do it alone. These are the volunteers who guide me, who guide the organization, who do all the work behind the scenes. And if there are any board members in the room, would you stand up, please? There we go. Luke is on our board, Zenito. I saw Whit. Where'd Whit go? Oh, there he is. There he is. So, how many of you have, how many people have never heard me speak before? Oh, good. I'm so glad. That's awesome. So I'm going to give you a little primer. What are the issues that we work on? Why do we have a secular coalition? Well, first of all, I like to bring this up. Can you see this? Is it too small? Why is it important to have a secular coalition? Someone's got to speak up about this BS. Jesus said to her, this is, by the way, Governor Doug Ducey's official governor page. It's not his personal page. It's his government page. This is what he uses. If you look at this page, you will see all kinds of public service announcements and yada, yada, yada. You don't see pictures of his kids. You don't see his personal stuff. This is his official page, and that's why it's a problem. On Easter, he posts, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And he wishes everyone a happy and blessed Easter and says he has risen. Okay? So what's wrong with this? Where's the separation, right? If this was his personal page, we'd have no issue with that. No issue at all. You know, he'd be sharing it with his friends, etc. Have your religion, you know, be proud of your religion. But when it comes to being the governor of the state of Arizona and making a proclamation like this on Easter, that's a problem. Especially when there are like 4,400, someone know the total number of religions in the world. If you're gonna wish Christians a happy Easter, then you need to wish every single religion, you need to celebrate on their special days too. And we know that the only other religion he has ever acknowledged publicly in congratulating them on a holiday is the Jewish religion. So Christians and Jewish people are recognized by our governor. Everybody else, not so much. We work on health and safety issues. Health and safety. So what are we talking about there? How can religion come into health and safety and public policy? Well, number one, you have a lot of people who believe that life begins at conception because of their religious views, and they want to push those religious views into public policy, taking a very legal and safe procedure and making it hard to access, okay? Among other things, and eventually they'd like to see it gone completely, and that's abortion, of course. Also in health and safety, reproductive rights, talking about like, let's see, well, there's Title 10 funding. Title 10 funding is it helps these community health centers and things. Well, they have now changed the law Trump did this actually on a national level, but before he did it, Arizona did it. We lead the way, we do. And that's why you have a secular coalition here, because you actually do have a really strong religious lobbying group. But anyway, we lead the way. Title X funding, it's money given to community health centers for reproductive health. And they have decided that if the organization offers abortions or refers to abortions, they will not get the money. They will not get the community health money. And you know, like an organization like Planned Parenthood, abortions is a very small portion of what they do. The majority of what they do there is reproductive health care, but they have lost their Title X funding. That's millions and millions of dollars. It's a big deal. We have to do something about this. We say yes to public education. We say yes to public education because public education ensures that all children receive the same education. They are not discriminated against because of their gender identity, their sexual orientation, or that of their parents. We say yes to public education because we believe science belongs in the classroom. We know some private schools in this state do teach creationism as a viable alternative to evolution. To that I say to those parents, if that's what you choose for your kids, that's your choice, but don't spend my public tax dollars giving misinformation to those kids. And we see this when it comes to the private school tuition organizations that the state uses. You can send money and get a tax credit. We also see that, and then the parents can choose where they send their kids. This is how they get around it. They say it's the parents' choice. They're giving the money to the parents, not the students. And the other thing that they do is school vouchers. So you get like $4,400 a year to send your kid to private school or to homeschool your child. Those are public tax dollars being used on private religious education as well. We believe that government-sponsored marriage shouldn't discriminate. So we have been a strong supporter of non-discrimination ordinances. We believe that we believe that no business should have the right to discriminate against somebody because they don't like their lifestyle. We don't think that that is correct. We support non-discrimination statewide. We've been working on that for many years. I'll talk a little bit more about this when we go into the bills that we worked on last session, but this is a hot topic right now. City of Phoenix just has been in a lawsuit with the Alliance Defending Freedom. How many of you have heard of the Alliance Defending Freedom? Okay. So what this group is they are a litigious, well-funded litigious organization who is based out of Scottsdale, right here, and they do local cases, they do national cases, they do cases all over the country. Have you heard of Hobby Lobby? Okay, so they represent Hobby Lobby, all right? They represent Brush and Nib, who is the calligrapher, the company that didn't want to ever have to make a wedding invitation for a gay marriage. So they challenged the City of Phoenix. City of Phoenix just lost that lawsuit in the Arizona Supreme Court. And I'm not sure exactly what's next, but we'll find out. All of this happened in the last 5 days. Tax policy. Oh, look, there you are. I've been telling everyone about you and the work you're doing on tax policy. We believe that there should not be special privilege in tax law for religious groups over other charities. That's a fact. If you're going to give a tax privilege to religious groups, you should give it to all 501c3s. That's it. So yes, I'm telling the world about the Humanist Society and how amazing you are at challenging the tax policy of the IRS, and I hope you win. Religious expression and invocations. Okay, we support, we believe that a secular government is one where everybody should be free to express themselves in whatever religion you choose. But we also, we believe that that's how we get to freedom, basically. That if everybody is recognized, then you're not going to have any issues. You're not going to be privileged in the tax law or in any laws. Invocations. So government meetings start with an invocation. Most of them do. Not all of them. If you live in Flagstaff, you won't hear an invocation up there. If you lived in Surprise, you didn't hear one until recently. They just added them. And city councils do it. state government does it. The legislature prays every single day. Every single day. And some of these prayers are crazy. I mean, they're political, they go on, they shame people. I mean, there are some really nasty prayers. So what we have done, I'm serious, and there are some nice ones. An invocation should be uplifting and get you started for your day and bring you together and remind you that the work you're doing is important, right? Not that, murdered babies, and I mean, they get into it. So invocations, the Supreme Court in 2014 said they're legal. They are legal. This is the United States Supreme Court, so it doesn't go much farther than that. However, any government group that's doing an invocation has to make it open to everybody. You have to make it open to everybody. So when you get a group like the Satanic Temple who comes to Scottsdale and says, we want to do this, they fill out the applications, they're recognized as a religion by the IRS, and the city council says, oh my gosh, we can't have Satanists pray at our meeting. And they tell them no, what is that? That's discrimination. So we know the Satanic Temple is right now in a lawsuit about this invocations, and we support them. We think everybody, if you're going to allow prayer at meetings, you got to open it up to every single religion. That's it. You can't pick and choose. So those are the issues I work on, just a couple of issues. I forgot to mention the other big one, which is under the health and safety. It's actually medical aid in dying. Have you heard of this before? It's just having the end-of-life choices. We would like to see that happen here in Arizona. The only reason why it's not happening is because the religious lobbying groups are keeping it from going to the state legislature. Every year for the last 20 years, we've had a bill at the state legislature that would open up the conversation for medical aid in dying. Never, not once has it received a committee hearing. It's introduced, it dies. That's how much. They don't even want to talk about it. So that's something that we are, actually there's a meeting on November 3rd, and if you get that notice, if you're interested in the issue, we'll look at my email, but November 3rd there's a meeting of the group. They're trying to get back together to get started on that, to get momentum. I am your boots on the ground. It is my job to be at the state legislature every single day that they're in session, and I make sure that I am there. We start the second Monday in January, and we go until we're done. That could be, usually it's around May. Next year's an election year, so they'll probably finish in April because they can't fundraise while they're in session. They can't collect money from any lobbyists, so they try to finish session quickly in election years. Sometimes it works for them, sometimes it doesn't, depends on the budget. But my job is to be at the Capitol. Monday through Thursday, they're in session. I'm always there. You can ask any legislator, they see me. I wait outside the elevators sometimes just to see them, come by. Mostly I'm asking them to do invocations or sponsor a bill or support a bill, or I want to find out where they're at on a bill. I have private meetings with lawmakers where we talk about the issues. We talk about what's important to people who believe that government should be free of religion. It's my job to develop relationships with them on your behalf so that when it comes time, when our friends take power, we're going to have a good session. We're going to have a very good session. The reality is that the legislature is moving in the right direction, but it's taking a very long time. It's taking a very long time. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. It's taking a long time, but we'll get there. Let's see. Y'all know Diane? Isn't she amazing? And she volunteers for us. Diane heads up our legal program. We now have 4 attorneys on our board. 4 attorneys. Diane leads up the legal program. She does a great job. She writes letters when people do bad things in government. She does public records requests for us. She is on the ball all the time. Just want to give her a shout out, and I would recommend, or actually come to our secular summit and you'll hear her talk about all of her legal program, all the things that she's doing, because it's a presentation in and of itself. But I will tell you that she's written a couple letters for me personally because I have some issues. Right? My kids are in public school, and it seems like every year this Good News Club is getting in the way of learning. Good News Club is an after-school club that is nationwide. They plant themselves in schools. They proselytize to kids, okay? That's what they do. It's after school. They can rent the room, fine. But what I don't like is when my kid shows up to meet the teacher night and he's got a list of things that he's got to do to get entered into a raffle, and one of those things he's got to do is visit the Good News Club. Bad. The other thing I don't like is when they send flyers home with him for the Bible study and the Good News Club, and it says like free food, crafts, games, fun, in my kid's folder from his public school. No. So here's the things that Diane has helped me with on those two issues over the last, believe it or not, it's been like every year there's been something. It's been 3 years. She writes letters for me. We've written letters to the school boards. We've written letters to the principal. And so what has happened as a result of that is, number one, they don't send flyers home with kids anymore about anything. It comes directly to parents in my email, so I can filter out what I want and what I don't want for him. A 6-year-old should not be given that information and expected. I mean, he came home, he was like, I want to go to this, Mom. And I was like, oh gosh, it's Bible study. All right. I mean, I'm all for raising a free-thinking kid, but he's 6 years old. When he's 12 or 13, let's talk about world religions, right? So that has changed. The second thing that has changed, and this just happened this year with that Good News Club flyer, was the principal actually apologized. She didn't quite realize exactly what it was. Someone had to tell her. And what she has said in her response to Diane, in her written response, she said, they won't be allowing outside groups at the Meet the Teacher night, that it will just be for school-sponsored activities only. That's Washington Elementary. This is just for her school, but we got bigger things we could do. So anyway, that's the power of Diane, and I'm telling you about this because we get this all the time, all across the state. There's some things we're working on in southern Arizona. We don't know everything that's happening, so if you see something that you think might be a violation of separation of church and state, let us know. Diane will analyze it, and she just might write a letter. So I love her letters. Now, we don't get into lawsuits. We don't quite have the capability to litigate at this point, but what we have are national partners who can, like the American Humanist Association, Freedom from Religion Foundation, Americans United, and also American Atheists. They all have good legal programs. If we ever had something that needed to be elevated, we would definitely do that. And then we could maybe have a lawsuit. Okay, so what are we up against in Arizona? The answer is a highly partisan Senate and House. Now our split, the partisan split right now is 31 Republicans to 29 Democrats. That's in the House. It's pretty tight, right? Some gains were made in the last election, and I will tell you, it was disappointing to me and others that it was business as usual. Votes were going 31-29, 31-29 all session long, including the budget. So while it's progress, we're not quite there yet. We need an even split. And of course, we're nonpartisan. And I'll go into a little bit about some of our Republicans who support us too. They're just harder to bring on board. Let me just put it that way. I'm working on them. They're harder to bring on board. We have 2, maybe 3 right now, and we're working on that, but it's a numbers game. In the Senate, the split is 17 Republicans to 13 Democrats. So it seems harder to do things in the Senate because you have to move 2 people from that 17. If you get to a 15-15, the bill dies, okay? That being said, I hate saying, the bill dies, but I'm always trying to kill bills because we don't get our bills heard. That's a reality. Let me move on. Secular invocations. We talked about this earlier, so I'm going to go a little more in depth because this is something that we have had the power to really affect and change. And I'd like to show you how far we've come. In 2013, Representative Juan Mendez gave the first ever atheist invocation at any state legislature in the country. And it was such a big deal, it made national news. Look at that. USA Today. National news. It was all over. It was such a big deal. Well, we we liked it. We liked it a lot. And I have to say, Secular Coalition for Arizona helped Senator Mendez with this. He has said many times, and he would say it in front of you today, that he would not have had the guts to come out as an atheist and give an atheist invocation if he didn't know that this entire group of people were going to stand with him. So that's why it's important for these lawmakers to know we're going to back them up. Senator Mendez has been a huge supporter of the Secular Coalition since this time. We have been working hand in hand every session on things. He's a huge asset to us. Yeah, he got reelected. Yes. And now he's in the state Senate. So he's moved from the House to the Senate, and he does have a primary challenger next year. So do with that what you want, but I need to keep him there, you know. So how far have we come? So here's a question for you. Now, that was 2013. How many secular invocations were given at the Arizona State Legislature in 2019? Who has a guess? 7, 0, 1, 3. Anyone else? Okay. You ready for this? And what makes a secular invocation? Well, we don't reference a higher power. Okay. That's pretty much it. All right. Y'all know Robert? He's on the board. He's there giving a secular invocation. So what we do a lot of times is we invite other people to give secular invocations as a guest of the lawmaker. And whenever we do this, it's wonderful. The invocations are so nice, but they don't give them any trouble. They still give each other trouble. The lawmakers themselves give each other trouble for secular invocations, but if they bring a guest, they don't. So we'll bring people of faith. I bring religious people who come dressed in their garb, you know, the collar, everything. And guess what? They give a secular invocation. There are a lot of religious people who believe that government has no place in religion. All right, let's talk. No, that's Christian. Not yet. Not yet. 91's a great number. That would be ideal. 25 prayers to God. So when we categorized it, we were like, well, we're not sure exactly which religion, but 10 others, including 2 Native American invocations done completely in Navajo. So we're not quite sure what they said, but you know, it's fine. We like it. I love it when they bring a diversity to the Capitol. You know, I'm not like anti-religious. I just think it doesn't belong in government. But whenever I see something out of the norm, I get very excited. So the Native American invocations are great. Here we go, 21. Yay! I call that, like I said earlier, my elevator work. I'll just sit there and I ask them and I remind them. They don't always do it on their own. Some of them are now actually doing them without us asking them to. But the majority of them do it because I've asked them to. And I make it easy for them too. I tell them, you just tell me if you want one, I'll find you a person. And then if I actually get a bite, and sometimes it's literally the day before, I reach out to my network of people and see if I can find someone to come give it for them. If you have given a secular invocation at the Capitol for me, stand up. Oh, just you. Thanks, Ron. He's done this 2 times? 3 times. Wonderful, wonderful. And previous to that, Chris Wojno did one. Remember that? And I'm sure next year Luke will be coming to give one. Yes. So we weren't sure if it was a Christian God or if it was just a deity. It's more like just a higher power in general. We didn't know exactly where to classify it, so. 25 extra, yeah, they definitely prayed to somebody. Yeah, not a single Muslim prayer this year. Not a single satanic prayer, no Wiccan prayers, no Baha'i. We didn't get any of those this year. We'll just try to, do more secular prayers. They're inclusive of everyone, and that's why we do this. But we are not without controversy. Yes? After the secular prayers? Okay. So the question is, and this is what other lawmakers have done in the past. I'm going to repeat the question for everyone. How often does it happen that they do a second prayer or they feel the need to invoke God right after? It happens. We don't keep track of it as much. It doesn't happen as much anymore as it did in years past. We are normalizing this. It is moving. Like when Senator Mendez did his first one, the next day they came back and did 2 prayers to make up for the day before. It's happened. It's happened where they'll spend 45 minutes after the invocation discussing whether or not the person just prayed. What a waste of time. What a waste. If they would just let the people pray and move on, it's fine. Just like we do for their prayers. Now, I'm an atheist, and I sit through the prayer. I don't make a big stink about it. I sit through it and then on with the day. My big stink, of course, is bringing more secular things. I'm working behind the scenes, but I'm respectful of the person giving the prayer as well as the people surrounding them. So we are not without controversy. Remember earlier I said and again to your point, if we bring somebody as a guest, there's usually no controversy. It's when the lawmakers themselves give a secular prayer that they like to get on each other about it. So I am going to, a lot of you were here this day. This was Secular Day at the Capitol this year. Who you're looking at right now is Representative Athena Salmon. She is an atheist, and she gave a secular invocation written by Anita. Where's Anita? Did she leave? She's around. Okay, Anita wrote this. Okay. So she gave this prayer on Secular Day at the Capitol, and I would like you to hear it.
Wonders of the universe. Bask in the awe and magnificence of the diversity of nature. Look upon the soaring mountains, the vast seas, the cloud-studded azure skies. Ponder how living beings became so immensely diverse on our life-giving planet, how integrated and interdependent is all life meshed on our wondrous earth. Can we truly fathom the depth of the intricacies required to produce and sustain living beings such as animals, plants, microbes, the engines that support the survival of such diverse life forms on an incredibly insignificant planet, in an insignificant galaxy, in an insignificant corner of an unimaginably immense universe that may possibly be a single speck floating in a sea of universes? The wonders of nature dwells deep in the hearts and minds of all people living on this wondrous rock we call Earth, as it makes its endless journey around a life-giving star we call soul. No matter what we may call it, we give thanks to the awe-inspiring power of nature itself.
Representative Kavanaugh.
Okay. No. Hold on, there's more. I like to pause it here just to say, what a nice invocation. So moving on, after this happened, as normally does, the Secular Coalition was here that day. We were all sitting in the gallery. The gallery's up above them, so we all could watch, and we appreciate it. And as is the tradition of lawmakers beginning session, they introduce people who have come to visit them or are sitting in the gallery. They'll introduce groups. They introduce us. It's a beautiful sound, 150 chairs, like getting up at the same time. It's beautiful to be introduced. So these lawmakers were introducing people in the gallery. So like Mitzi Epstein was like, hey, I'd like to introduce my constituent, Ron Russell from LD18, And then we're like, yay, welcome. So now we get to Representative Kavanaugh and his introduction. Might have to.
Wonders of the universe. Bask.
I do not know how to fast forward it.
In the awe
Who
and
wants to listen to it again?
magnificence of the diversity of nature. Look upon the soaring mountains, the vast seas, the cloud-studded azure skies. Ponder how living beings became so immensely diverse on our life-giving planet, how integrated and interdependent is all life meshed on our wondrous earth. Can we truly fathom the depth of the intricacies required to produce and sustain living beings such as animals, plants, microbes, the engines that support the survival of such diverse life forms on an incredibly insignificant planet, in an insignificant galaxy, in an insignificant corner of an unimaginably immense universe that may possibly be a single speck floating in a sea of universes? The wonders of nature dwells deep in the hearts and minds of all people living on this wondrous rock we call Earth, as it makes its endless journey around a life-giving star we call soul. No matter what we may call it, we give thanks to the awe-inspiring power of nature itself.
Representative Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to a point of personal privilege, introduction of guests in the gallery.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to introduce my guest, God. God is in the gallery, as he is everywhere, and the same God who, by the way, created nature, which purportedly created this tiny speck of a planet in which this tiny speck of a legislature legislates. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alman.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, Mr. Speaker, I rise for a point of protest.
Okay, so this is the next day.
Okay. That's.
Mr. Speaker, members, I rise for this protest today.
Can you cite the rule, please?
I have a constitutional right to protest. Rule 20.
Thank you.
I rise to protest today because I want to make it clear I have never denigrated another member's invocation. Yet, for the third year in a row, members of this body have belittled my religious beliefs in ways that are humiliating and uncalled for. Yesterday's action by the representative from Fountain Hills mocking my invocation, which was written by his constituent Anita Romakovsky, violates the Arizona Constitution, Article 20, Section 1, that requires, quote, perfect toleration, and no inhabitant of this state shall ever be molested in person or property on account of his or her mode of religious worship or lack of the same. Additionally, it violated the U.S. Constitution and Supreme Court ruling in Greece versus Galloway in 2014 that prohibits the disparaging of other faiths or none. Finally, it violates House Rule 25, privilege of the House, as it exhibits behavior unbecoming of a member. The Arizona court has made it clear in appeal in Cochise County Juvenile Action 1982 when it said, quote, we cannot imagine that the legislature would give preferential treatment to one religion over another because one is more established and thus more acceptable than another. Yet for years, members of a more established religion in this chamber have disparaged members of non-faith. This is in clear violation of our rights. It was in violation of Representative Kavanaugh's constituents' rights. My mother was in the gallery, my grandmother. I was so ashamed I didn't even...
Yeah. So, how was that? We're really proud of her. We're really glad to have her there. I mean, I hope that she's going places. She's amazing. And my hope for her is that she's Speaker of the House someday. That would be amazing. And it's possible. It's possible. In next election cycle, if you get a Democrat majority, you could have somebody like Representative Salmon rise to Speaker of the House. It's possible. And that is what we're doing at the Secular Coalition. It is a long game. We have these amazing relationships. So Athena Salmon, the protest that she read was written by none other than Diane Post. This is what we did to support her and help her in this, because it's wrong what happened. Now, that being said, the legislature, the Speaker of the House refused to meet with us. We tried repeatedly. He refused to meet with us. He refused to address the issue. And the best thing that could have happened out of this didn't, which would have been like an apology, maybe. And that, hey, it's not going to happen again, right? No. But what the Democrats were able to do by the end of session was to get the Speaker to agree to do a House Ethics Committee and to put together some ethics rules. And we have been helping Representative Solomon with that as well, because we want to make sure that in these ethics rules that they're developing, that it includes toleration of all religious beliefs, including none. This should never happen. What a waste of taxpayer dollars that this even had to happen. Yes. David pointed out it made national news. It did. It did. So this is our political reality. Minority bills rarely move. What does that mean? We have like 1,500 bills that are introduced every session. Of those 1,500 bills, maybe 400 actually get a hearing in committee. A bill can't move unless it gets a hearing in committee. So all those other bills are generally dead. The minority party does not get their bills heard. The majority party will give them a handful, like here or there, on non-controversial issues, okay? And and that's great, that's good, but we need to have a bigger voice in our state government. We need, I'm a firm believer in voting, right? So if they would just hear the bills and then vote them down, okay, well, you voted it down. But just by giving a chairman the power to kill bills, essentially, isn't right. It's not good for our democracy. Last year, there was a rules chairman. So the bills have to go through the committee of the reference, and then they have to go through rules committee before they can get to the floor for a full vote, okay? That's the process. So the rules committee chairman last year held 72 bills, and these were of his own party. These were other Republicans. He held 72 bills. He never let them move through his committee. Unheard of for this. It's never happened before. It's disgusting. Because those bills, he didn't move them because he didn't like them. That, my friends, is the power of a governor. The governor can veto a bill he doesn't like. The rules chairman should not have that power, and yet the way that it's set up down there, he did have the power. So what I'm saying is we have to change the makeup of the legislature in order to really change this. Yes, we're developing these relationships, but we are up against a very well-funded religious lobbying organizations. The Center for Arizona Policy is one. The Alliance Defending Freedom is two. The Arizona Catholic Conference of Bishops is three. Those three groups, and they're not the religious lobby, but there's the American Federation for Children. Have you heard of this group? What they do is they promote vouchers and that kind of stuff. They are all over that. If you see people at the Capitol with going for vouchers, they're probably with the American Federation for Children, also affiliated. But these are the three main religious lobbying groups. Their job is just for, the Alliance Defending Freedom does a lot of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act work, where they're trying to allow businesses, to discriminate, etc. They are well funded. They have access I don't have. I'm going to just be honest. They have access I don't have. We couldn't get into the speaker's office this year. I don't have that access. I try, but he opens his door for Republicans. And this is what I'm saying. We would have this access if we changed the makeup of the legislature. We would have access to the speaker. We would have access to the Senate president. We would have access to the committee chairs. We would even have access to the governor's office if Katie Hobbs was governor right now. She's our Secretary of State. She's next in line for the governor. So if he takes another job somewhere, she'll be our governor, and that will change everything. It would be amazing. The Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs, has received a Secular Star Award from us before. So that's how you know she's good with this policy. Okay, let's go into the major bills we supported and what happened to them. We did hate plates. I'm going to tell you more about all of these. Repealing a no promo homo statute, and statewide non-discrimination. All right, this one has a video. So we're going to talk first about the hate plates, okay? And I think the video does a great job.
It's been our national motto for more than 60 years. It's printed on all our money, and in a few states, "In God We Trust" is part of the official license plate.
We're creating license plates like constantly every year.
In Arizona, the "In God We Trust" plate is one of more than 60 on ADOT's website that raise money for nonprofits. They're all approved by state statute.
This one is actually used the government to help them raise money.
And that is what Senator Juan Mendez takes issue with. ADOT lists money raised from each "In God We Trust" plate promotes our national motto. Since 2014, records show more than 50,000 of the plates have been sold or renewed, raising more than $900,000. Turns out, it benefits the Scottsdale-based Alliance Defending Freedom. ADF's Kristen Wagoner says it has all been transparent.
Where these funds go is very open. It's nothing that's a secret.
The Human Rights Campaign calls ADF the nation's largest anti-LGBTQ legal group. In fact, the Southern Poverty Law Center designated ADF as a hate group for spearheading lawsuits against reproductive and gay rights in the name of religious freedom.
The Southern Poverty Law Center's designation of us is simply a label that they have imposed to try to vilify groups that oppose the ideology that the SPLC has.
Regardless, Senator Mendez contends the government should not be involved in creating a platform for ADF's contentious message.
You can have your own opinion. You can give your money to whatever opinion you want to, but those other options, scenarios, are not using the state.
He proposed 2 bills: to follow the money from the sales of the specialty plates and to do away with the "In God We Trust" option.
I think that's gone beyond, the separation of church and state, beyond religious freedom.
Religious freedom and the right of free speech, those are human rights. They're basic human rights, and we have led the world in protecting those freedoms.
Wagoner points out drivers have dozens of choices when it comes to buying the specialty plates.
This is not a government program that is providing taxpayer dollars to private organizations. This is private funds that individuals are using to affirm a message they believe in.
I move that the Gould Floor Amendment to House Bill 2046 be adopted.
Brief explanation.
Creates the "In God We Trust" license plate.
Discussion? You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes appear to have it. Do have it. So ordered.
Senator Mendez says when former Senator Ron Gold introduced the amendment back in 2008, ADF was not specified as the recipient. The description was vague.
And they weren't very open with where the money was going.
And what's been disclosed is that that money would go to First Amendment freedoms and defending the national motto. And that is exactly how those funds have been used.
The "In God We Trust" plates have been around for more than a decade, but the issue was brought to light this past year by the Secular Coalition for Arizona, who started a campaign to let people know sales of the "In God We Trust" plate fund the controversial group.
Nobody knew where the money was going.
The coalition's Tory Roberg says they put up billboards and they launched licenceplatehate.org to get the word out.
I mean, there is a lot of things that they're doing that we do not support, and I think most Arizonans have no idea what this organization is doing.
ADF says fundraising through the government's specialty plate program is an opportunity open to all nonprofits.
So the answer to this issue isn't to banish messages that you disagree with, it's to create your own license plate.
Who gets the money from other specialty plates also isn't always obvious. Funds from the Families of Fallen Police Officers plate go to DPS. Sales from the Centennial plate go to the U of A, and PetSmart Charities is the beneficiary of the Spay and Neuter plate. None of these, however, is controversial.
This is somebody taking advantage of the government to push a hateful agenda.
So an update for you, neither of Mendez's bills passed, but there is now more transparency because just last month, ADOT now lists Alliance Defending Freedom as the specific recipient of the "In God We Trust" plates.
Oh, interesting. Let's watch the Daily Show. So I think that the video gives a really good synopsis of what happened with this bill and the work that we did on it, plus the outcome. So how this got started was actually from a constituent, somebody on my email list asked me a question: where does the money go from these "In God We Trust" license plates? And I was like, oh, let me just look it up and I'll tell you. I know where to look it up. So I looked it up on the state website and no. I was like, there's nothing here about where the money goes. Huh. So in order to find out where the money went, I had to ask Senator Mendez to ask the Department of Transportation for me, because they can get the information a lot faster than I can. We could do a public records request. It would have taken a long time. Like literally the same day I got the answer back from Senator Mendez, and it goes to the Alliance Defending Freedom. We need to do something about this, okay? He was really unhappy. So this bill came from him. We worked with him on it, and that was months and months later. The next session was when we introduced the bill. We sat on this for a long time. How much money do you think the state of Arizona has raised for the Alliance Defending Freedom in the years since this plate was started? Yeah, 800,000. It's like 900. It's right around there. $900,000. And yes, it's private money going to this organization, because when you buy a special plate, you pay your plate price, and then you pay an additional amount, and that goes to the charity, okay? But that being said, it is not easy to get a license plate. I don't care what that lady says. I will explain to you how to get a license plate. And number two, the government has no place fundraising for hate groups. No place at all. It's ridiculous. So in order to get a special license plate, you know, the way she said it just seems so easy, right? Why haven't we done our own license plate? Well, because you have to get a bill passed through the legislature to do that. You need 31 yes votes in the House, and you need 16 yes votes in the Senate, and then you have to have the governor sign it. On top of that, you need $30,000 for startup fees, which I'm sure a group like ours or HSGP could raise, but the harder issue is getting it through the legislature and the governor. No, it is not easy. Yes, it is all about pet projects of lawmakers. Yes, you can trace every single one of those license plates back to a lobbyist who pushed it through. In this case, it looks like it was the Alliance Defending Freedom, so they could have more money. Now, they have a $52 million budget, so it's really not a lot of money for them, but it's part of their fundraising. So what happened? As I told you, minority bills rarely get heard, so his bill wasn't heard. In fact, the chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee, who the bill was assigned to, put a tweet out following a lot of our press conference and the things that we did, basically saying, oh, now that I know the money goes to the Alliance Defending Freedom, I'm going to buy a plate. That was the chairman of the committee that was supposed to hear the bill. So you think he heard the bill to get rid of the plate? Of course not. No. But what we were able to do through this whole process was to get the Department of Transportation to at least post it on their website where the money is going. All the other plates had it listed. For some reason, this one didn't. It's listed there now. It's listed there if you go to like a motor vehicle division. If you go there, they have a big sign with all of them. I looked, and it's written on there too. So at least the public knows where the money is going. The website is up. People can find it. We just want to make sure everyone is aware, and someday we will get rid of that plate. The transportation, the chairman, it is, I have to think of his name. I'll get back to you. I can picture him. He's also a proponent of school vouchers and a friend of the Center for Arizona Policy. David Livingston. Okay, so another bill that we worked on. There was a state statute on the books that banned the teaching of homosexuality as a positive lifestyle. And I use those words lifestyle because those are the words that are in statute, okay? In public school, HIV, AIDS education, all of it was banned. And a couple of years ago, and this, by the way, we have been trying to get rid of this statute for so many years. The bill never got a hearing. A couple of years ago, Phoenix Union High School District came to the legislature and said, please let us teach kids about this. Let us be positive about this. We have kids in our high school who need this. They are being hurt. They are killing themselves because they don't feel good because we can't even talk about this in a positive way. This is a big issue. And so that happened a few years ago. The bill never got a hearing. Never got a hearing. We had a conversation on the floor about it in the Senate, and that was Martine Quesada who was pushing that. So fast forward, every year we've had a bill, including this year, we had a bill that didn't get a hearing. But let me explain to you what happened, and this is a good news one. Let's see. Oh, this is what we did. Okay. Oh. This starts with the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Kathy Hoffman. She was just elected last November. Y'all probably helped her with that. She's amazing. She took her oath of office on a children's book. I love her. So this starts with Kathy Hoffman. Oh, what a difference an election can make, okay? Basically, the same people that were trying to get this law changed filed a lawsuit against Kathy Hoffman and the State Department of Education, saying that this statute was wrong and it was hurting people and they needed to do something about it, okay? Kathy Hoffman said, "You are right. I don't like this either. Bring on the lawsuit. Let's change the law." That was great, right? That was a good move. But then what happened? This guy, Republican, Mark Brnovich, he's our Attorney General. Do y'all know him? Well, he did a good thing. So we got to give people credit when they do good things. He came out and he said, "You know, I don't think that the Attorney General's office is going to defend this statute. We're not going to defend it. So listen, Department of Education, if you want to defend yourselves in the lawsuit, you can hire outside counsel, but the Attorney General's office is not going to provide you with the legal counsel to defend yourselves." Isn't that amazing? So quickly, the quickest I've ever seen, well, not ever, but very quick. Bills don't happen quickly, but this, sometimes they do, and it's through amendments. So what happened was Representative Daniel Hernandez from Tucson, and he's a Democrat, Representative TJ Shope from Casa Grande, a Republican, and also the pro tempore Speaker of the House. He's in leadership. They got together and they made this happen. A Republican and a Democrat. So I want you to know this was completely bipartisan. They added an amendment to another bill that was already moving. It was already mostly done with the process. They added an amendment to repeal it. The amendment passed onto the bill. The bill passed in the House and the Senate, and it was signed by the governor. The statute is gone. Schools can teach this now. And it's because of all the work we've been doing over the years that we are able to do this when we don't have a majority at the legislature. We don't. And it's because of the work of these two state elected officials that this happened. So credit where credit is due. Okay, lastly, I can tell some of you read my emails. If you're on my email list, then you would know about all these things because I tell you during session, hey, this is going on, help me out. Okay, we're gonna talk about fake clinics. So all through session, look at this. Okay, oops, okay. So it's interesting, every session I've worked, you heard this is my 6th year, so my 6th session at the legislature. Every year there's always a nasty bill, a nasty abortion bill, something nasty. This year there wasn't. I was waiting for it. Because I'm like, this is really odd. The bill deadline to introduce bills came and went, and there was no bill. And I was thinking, what is gonna happen? So I was on my toes the whole session because I knew they wouldn't just leave it, okay? They're not gonna just leave it. These religious lobbying groups have their own fundraising to do, so they like to tout all the things that they're doing so they can raise more money. This came during the budget, okay? It was part of the budget package. And why is that important? Well, the budget happens at the end of session. It's the very last thing that they do. And it happens quickly. When the budget is released, it's because the leadership in the House and the Senate have come to an agreement with the governor about what the budget is going to look like. They have the votes. They have already whipped up the votes. By the time the budget comes out, it's ready to go. There's not a lot of time. They'll release the budget, the committee hearings the next day, the vote could be that same day. You could get it done in 2 or 3 days. It's that fast. they suspend all of their rules for the budget. A budget bill. A budget bill that granted $7.5 million. That's $2.5 million each year for 3 years. It was a 2-paragraph bill. It gave the money to an organization that specializes in marketing and providing services to pregnant women and mothers of young children up to age 2. There was no accountability built into this. None. They were just giving away state dollars for this. What we found out quickly was that the legislature had planned to give the money to this group called Human Coalition. This was repeated by many lawmakers on the floor. This is how we know. The Human Coalition is a group. This is very scary. And think of what they could do with $2.5 million. This group will spend that money on geo-targeting, okay, and doing Google search results, like being at the top of the list. That's what they spend their money on, is marketing and advertising and Google searches. The reach is wide. And what they would do is, if you were a woman looking for any kind of information about your pregnancy, they will make sure at the top of the list is one of their so-called crisis pregnancy centers. Do you know what these are? We call them fake health clinics, because they are fake. They present themselves as offering health care and advice to women, but they are not healthcare professionals. They even provide ultrasounds by non-licensed technicians. We know that when women go to these places, they will do everything they possibly can to make sure that that woman does what they want the woman to do, not what the woman wants to do. They will tell them that they are farther along in their pregnancies than they actually are. Yes, all of this is documented. This is across the country. And then, of course, to provide services, they'll give the money to these crisis pregnancy centers and for the advertising. Yes? It's not technically a medical organization. They just make it look like one. They wear lab coats. They wear the scrubs. It is, well, it's not technically. So we have had a bill, again, that's never received a hearing, but we have, the language is ready to go, that would actually regulate these groups and say you have to be licensed if you're going to do an ultrasound here, or if you're going to provide medical advice, or, nobody really, the legislature doesn't know. And when I testified on this bill in committee, that's exactly what one of the Republicans said to me. He's like, that's not possible. And I was like, yes, it is. And we have a bill, and if you'd like to fix that, I will give you the language. That would be my goal. That would be great to get these places regulated. So this bill is nasty. Huge reach. Probably the worst one I've ever worked on, and we've worked on a lot. Everything is about discouraging women from having abortions and funding these fake clinics, okay? So what happens? Well, in the House, what happened was the legislative leadership added an amendment to the bill that provided some accountability. Said, you have to provide a report to us after 6 months, because we were making headway on that point. You're just throwing away money. You're giving it to this group and nobody knows what they're going to do with it? No. So in the House, they added this accountability measure. That's what they did. And it passed the House 31-29, just as you would expect. In the Senate, they added the accountability measure, okay? But I'm going to tell you right now, 2 Republican women in the Senate voted against this bill and killed it. We have to recognize that we need bipartisan solutions for these things. And so while we keep our base of Democrats, and by the way, that base wasn't always there, we had to build that base. I have to talk them into things sometimes. They're not always with us. I have to get them with us. But we have these Republicans, and we're working on them, and we're working on getting more. This bill didn't happen because of those 2 Republican women, and of course the 13 Democrats who voted with them. So that is a huge win for Arizona. Center for Arizona Policy lost their first bill since the veto we got on their bill like 5 years ago. We got a veto once. That was amazing. So they took a loss this year. They took a loss. I'm very pleased about that because it's only going to benefit women. All right. Those are the highlights of the bills. She likes the secular studies. So a couple years ago at the state legislature, we found out they had not one, not two, but 3 Bible studies for lawmakers available to them over their lunch hour, okay? I think it's down to 1, maybe 2 now. I think the 3rd one's gone. And people ask me, what do they do at Bible study? I say, I don't know. I've never been invited. I asked Senator Mendez to go once, and he really didn't want to go. So anyway, we decided instead of making a fuss about Bible study, because while they do use taxpayer dollars, and we disagree with that, we think that's wrong, taxpayer dollars to put out the information, and we don't really know who pays for lunch, okay? But let's just be real. It's probably not a lot of money. It's probably not a sexy number. It's not something that we could really make headway on. We would just be seen as these angry atheists, and we don't want to be angry atheists. We want to be positive. Well, maybe some people want to be angry. You're welcome to be angry if you want. We created secular studies. It's an alternative for lawmakers. Let's talk about what that means. What do we talk about? So secular studies is a weekly lunch group for lawmakers during session. Every Tuesday we meet during session in the months of February and March. Every week we feed them tacos and we bring them an expert on whatever topic we've decided to talk about that week. The only thing is, we don't study the Bible, okay? So we don't have Bible study, we have secular studies. So we bring in very informative speakers, probably similar to what you have here at the Humanist Society. It's modeled really after that. And then we encourage the lawmakers to have discussion amongst themselves about the issue. And what we have found is that the lawmakers, we get a good turnout, usually between 15 and 25 lawmakers each week. That's out of 90. That's pretty good. And they enjoy it because they have a chance to talk to each other. And lawmakers don't actually talk to each other that much. There's a lot of mistrust at the Capitol. You know, a lot of politics goes on. And in this room, it's safe. It's safe. It's a safe place. We don't invite the press. We don't invite the public. We just let them talk about their backgrounds or why they feel the way they do. And we love it when we have a lively discussion. One of our most interesting ones this year was on CRISPR. I learned a lot about CRISPR. It's a DNA editing technology. It's crazy, interesting. It's very controversial, but still fun. Oh yeah, we always talk about separation of church and state. We usually have a constitutional attorney in at least one of these sessions. Okay, so who comes? Last year we had 9 sessions. Senator Mendez is our sponsor, so he's usually there. He had to miss one this year I forget why, but he had to miss one. But what I really want you to look at, these are our top people that attend. Do you see an R up there? Yes. So we get a Republican who comes regularly. Sometimes he brings a friend. And we are working with him to try to come up with topics or speakers that would bring more Republicans into the session, because the more bipartisan work we do, the better. I'm inviting you to the Capitol to join me February 24th, 2020. Mark your calendars. What is Secular Day at the Capitol? And why did we start it? When I first started my first session, I was working on a bill, and I was very frustrated because the lawmakers in the committee were mocking me about this bill. Like, it didn't even matter to them that I was standing up there and I was saying, this is wrong. And it was a pastor appreciation week. It was, they were like, just let them have it. That's what just let them have it. I said, this is government. If you're gonna actually put a resolution out saying, pastor appreciation week, then make it, celebrant or clergy or some generic name. Why you gotta say pastor? Anyway, I was frustrated. I left that hearing and I was venting to a Republican lobbyist who I'm friends with, and I said, why aren't they taking me seriously? And he says, well, Tory, it's because they think it's you and 4 people sitting in a room coming up with this stuff. And I said, oh no, we have a whole group of people around the state who support this work. And right then and there, I called Zenito, and I said, Zenito, we need to bring everyone to the Capitol. And we did. The first year we did Secular Day at the Capitol, we just barely put it together. We had like 3 weeks to put it together. We ate Subway sandwiches out of the back of Zanito's truck. Remember that? We had maybe 25 people show up. And from there, it's grown and grown and grown. We are now to the point where we get about 150 people every year. I would love for that number to grow. It hasn't grown yet, but maybe this year it will. Bring a friend, okay? What you can expect at Secular Day at the Capitol is, number one, I want you to meet with your lawmakers. I want you to sit down with the people who represent you at the state capitol, and I want you to have a conversation with them about why separation of church and state is important to you. They need to hear that. They may not agree with you, okay? You may be hitting your head against the wall, but the reality is that they need to hear from you. They need to know that it's not just me and 4 people sitting in a room. Number 2, you're going to meet other people from all over the state who support separation of church and state. You make some new friends. It's good networking. We have coffee and bagels and lunch and all that. We bring in speakers, some educational topics so you can learn about the top issues and what's going on. Always very informative. We usually bring someone in from out of state, a national figure, to join us as a keynote speaker so you can meet somebody famous, which is nice too. They love coming to Arizona. Like I said, we're the only group that has this. And then in the afternoon, we watch the floor session, and that's where you're introduced, and that's you'll hear secular invocation, etc. If you are a member of the Secular Coalition, then after Secular Day in the Capitol, we have a really nice happy hour, which is one of my favorite parts of the day. So I hope you join us. The more, the better. And you will get a t-shirt, a blue t-shirt. There you go. What's that? What time? The answer is we're there from 9 until about 2 o'clock. Start at 7. Well, if you are one of my happy volunteers, you show up at 7. So I hope you'll join us. Mark your calendars.
Is it a different shirt this year?
What's that?
Is it a different shirt?
He asked if it's a different shirt. The answer is no. He already has one. Maybe someday we'll get a different shirt. Huh? We need a sponsor for new shirts because we don't charge for this event, and it costs us around $8,000 to put this event on every year. That's about how much it costs because we have to rent the chairs and the tables, and we have to buy the insurance, and we have to buy the food, and we have to do all the materials and all the things and the t-shirts, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't charge you. Please come. You don't have to pay to come. The reason why is because we need your bodies there. We need you there talking to your lawmakers. We'll never charge for that event. This event, I want to invite you on September 26th, that would be Thursday, to join me in Tempe. We are going to be at Boulders on Broadway, and the information is on our website, secularaz.org. You can go to our website and buy yourself a ticket. This is a fundraiser. We do charge you. What do we do at this happy hour? Well, you're going to meet some of the lawmakers who helped us. Senator Mendez is going to be there. Just come to give him a hug. Tell him how much we appreciate him. We have a few other lawmakers who said they'd be there as well. Athena Salmon is a maybe, but hopefully she'll be there. We are basically taking the time to thank our major lawmakers, the people who helped us the most. So the more people we have there to thank them, the better. Again, that's Thursday at Boulders on Broadway from 5 to 7. 5 to 7. Yes. Yes. You still have to jump through a few hoops. You have to click on more info. Yeah. I know. I'm with you. We're getting there. Progress takes time. But at least it's posted. It was nowhere to be found before. But now you can find it. It's on the list. Here's just an example of some of the lawmakers who were awesome with us. Every year we do a scorecard. And our scorecard, we give them, they get points. They get points for if they introduce a secular bill. They get points if they sponsor a secular bill that someone else introduces. They put their name on it. They get points for doing a secular invocation. They get points for coming to secular studies. And they get points if they just do something awesome that I know about and I give them extra points for. For example, Representative Daniel Hernandez got some bonus points for his work getting rid of the no promo homo statute. And you would never know that he did that work. You would never know because it was all behind the scenes. He was never out in the open. It was Representative Shope, the Republican, who had to do the majority of the work whipping those Republicans. Daniel Hernandez, he's the one who brought it all together. Also, yeah, he's awesome. We'll be honoring him in Tucson on Tuesday. Yes. Also, I gave Representative Kavanaugh -10 for what he did to Representative Solomon. Here's our top Senate supporters, top 3. Senator Juan Mendez, he's always at the top. I'm going to show you guys the scorecard actually so you could see it. It's kind of ridiculous how many points he has. We've got Senator Martin Quesada. He actually does a lot of work for secular, even though he's not active in the community and he's a religious person. He does a lot of work. Mostly, a lot of his focus is on non-discrimination and LGBTQ. Senator Victoria Steele, she's back this year. She left for a few years and she's back, and she's amazing. She did a secular invocation, and I didn't know about it until she did it, and I love that. I love that because I was surprised, and that tells me that lawmakers are feeling emboldened to do these on their own, and the more we have them do it, the better. Okay, how you can help. How many times have I said we need to change the legislature? Vote. Check out our scorecard. It's on our website. I'll show you where to find it. We're gonna go over there so I can show you. On the scorecard, you can see if they have a good secular score, great, vote for them. If they don't, maybe not. We also put out a questionnaire to all candidates, and we publish those on our website as well. We don't interpret it, we don't endorse candidates, but we like to know where they're at on the issues, and we like to let you know where they're at on the issues. Sign up for our action alerts on our email list. You'll know when things are going on. You can donate to us. We really appreciate it very much. You can show up to one of our events. I think this was at the Science March. We didn't have a Science March this year, but we show up and we love to have you with us. Usually we have extra shirts, so if you show up, we can give you a shirt. And you can also help by being involved in your affiliated organization. So all of you here today at HSGP, you are involved. Thank you very much. We are building this community across the state. It's important, more important than ever, that we support the local groups that are building the community for us. All right. You got a cell phone? Okay, here's my promise to you. If you text Secular AZ to 52886 right now, I promise that you will not miss anything important happening at the legislature. I also promise that you will not get any junk or spam from me. I use this system, and when I say me, I literally mean me. I go to the website, I send out the text alerts. I use this system to bring your attention to issues that are important happening at the legislature that we need you to act on. You need to call your lawmaker. You need to write them a letter, email. You need to come to the Capitol. I will let you know. Your job is not to follow the legislature. That's my job, and my job is to let all of you know. So this is the most efficient way to find out. Other ways you can find out what's going on, we do email action alerts. They take a little bit longer. There's a little more formatting involved than me just sending a text to you. And we also do Facebook event. If you follow us on Facebook, you'll get the information there. But if you join our text list, then you will be guaranteed to get it. You won't hear anything from me for a couple months, okay? You're gonna forget that you did it, probably. And then in January, I'll be like, hey, we're starting session. Welcome to the text list. Do you have a question?
Yes. Did you say anything in this text message?
Nope, just text, you text Secular AZ to that number, 52886.
Okay.
Thank you. Why is this important? Why is this important? This is really sad. Sex education curriculum is a hot topic right now. It is. Have you seen it in the news? Yep. Tucson Unified School District just tried to change their sex education curriculum to scientifically and medically accurate curriculum. And yeah, they were not able to vote on it. There was too much that happened. Back in June, after the legislature ended session, the State Board of Education was considering a rule change to allow the state superintendent to look into any changes that needed to be made, and also to recommend that all curriculum around the state be scientifically and medically accurate. It's a good thing, right? Does anyone have a problem with scientific and medically accurate information? A lot of people do, actually. A lot of people. And what happened at the State Board of Education meeting this summer when this change was being considered is I didn't know about it because I don't work the State Board of Education, but I do now. I did not realize how much I needed to be involved with them. Last year we talked about evolution. Do you remember that? They were trying to dumb down evolution in our science standards. That was my first experience with the State Board of Education. This year is my second, and it was this meeting. And I found out about this 8 p.m. the night before this meeting. The sad news is that the people who oppose scientifically and medically accurate sex education showed up to this meeting. There was like 200 people there, and it was me and 2 other people speaking on the other side. So needless to say, it didn't pass. But let me play this video for you. You need to hear what they're saying. Wait, hold on one second. Exit. Uh-oh. Yeah. Hold on.
Explicit sexual, with the rule changes proposed and under the guise of acceptance, are we proposing to eventually push explicit sexualized material on our children before they are ready? This form of mental molestation, basically, does not belong in our schools and is being pushed on those who are more interested, or by those who are more interested in social engineering than in focusing on our 3rd grade reading crisis. Instead of creating more Planned Parenthood customers, let's put our energy into improving the reading ability of our children.
Young children are not ready for, nor should they be, sexually active. Why would we burden them with that knowledge? Our society used to protect our children, and we regulated what was out in the media. But today, children are being sexualized earlier and earlier, in part because they are exposed to sexual material in movies, television, music, other media earlier than ever. Nothing is private, nothing is sacred, nothing is personal, and nothing is moral. However, we should set a different standard at school. I believe strongly that our young children should continue to be innocent and just allowed to grow up. I plan to carry legislation that would take kindergarten through 4th grade out of any sexual education instruction.
Yeah. So it was one after another, just like that, saying that comprehensive sex education would lead to the perversion of children, that it encourages pedophiles. I mean, these ridiculous claims over and over and over. And all we're talking about, it's age appropriate, you know? Little kids need to know about consent. Little kids need to know that grown-up shouldn't be touching them. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the K through 4 comes in. So we need to fight this, and I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a big topic at the legislature next session, and we need to be ready. And it's important that you join my text list so that I can tell you when stuff like this happens, so we never show up to another hearing 200 to 3, okay? I need lots of people to show up. Yes, in the back. Yes, I give talking points, I give lots of information, whatever you need, I've got it. I've got all the information. So usually when I ask you to take action on something, I'm gonna let you know, A, what is going on, B, why it's important, and C, what you can do. I will always give you talking points. If you don't want to use them, don't. If you want to discuss in your own words, I encourage you to do that. But I make it so easy for you that you could send a message with the click of a button. Yes? You're probably on the list if you, yeah, because we just launched this a year ago, so we're still building our list. The thing about text messaging is, if you're signed up on my email list, or say you donated to me before, I can't add you to my text list. You have to add yourself to my text list. I'm not allowed to text you unless you sign up. That's just the rules. Okay, lastly, I want to show you the website. Almost done. Okay. This is our website, secularaz.org. And what I want to show you is just a few things that you can do here. If you go on resources, you can come down here. Someone was asking me, it was you, David, right? David was asking me. He was asking me for the report, so I'm going to show you where you can find it. If you come here, resources, you can come to our legislative session wrap-ups and scorecards. And down here, everything is here. Although I don't see 2018, we'll get that up, I have it. So here you can see all of our activities. You can read about all the bills we worked on, the outcome. I only highlighted a few of them for you, okay? There's more. And you can also see how the lawmakers vote. So here we go. Let me see this, okay. There we go. Look at Athena Salmon, 32 points. She's great. So you can see how everybody voted. You can look up your, you can look them up by your legislative district. If you don't know your district, just ask me and I'll tell you how to find it, okay? And you can see here all the D's, right? And we have Noel Campbell, the Republican, he got 7 points. That's more than some Democrats. Look at that. Okay, and then we did the same thing for the Senate. Oh, here. Oh, look. John Kavanaugh got a -12. We actually gave them negative points. Like, we give them negative points systematically if they refuse to hear a secular bill in committee. Like, say they're a committee chairman, you get a -1. You didn't hear our bill, you get a -1. So Russell Bowers got a -18, and he is the Speaker of the House. And he got it because, he got -17 because there were 17 secular bills that he never put in a committee. So, that guy, yeah. Let me show you the Senate really fast. Oops. Look at that, Senator Mendez with 38 points. I'm telling you right now, we appreciate our friends, but you can see the large number of, I think the scorecard's really interesting to see the spectrum too, about there are certain lawmakers that I have to work on. There's others I don't have to work on so much, right? But we always have to appreciate them. So it's just very interesting to see. And in here, Kate Brophy McGee is the top Republican with 7 points. And she and the woman right underneath her, Heather Carter, senator from Legislative District 15, she has 5 points. Those two are the ones who voted that bill down. They also co-sponsored the legislation to end discrimination in this state. While the bill didn't receive a hearing, it was bipartisan because 2 Republicans joined with the Democrats. There you go. I just want to find my last slide so you have all the contact information. Okay. Well, there's my email address, tory@secularaz.org. Okay? Email me anytime. I'm always happy to answer your questions, help you out, whatever you need. That's it. Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tory, for your presentation and the information. And one last thing, we always like to mug you every time you come, but we have a new one for you.
Thank you. I love it. I love being bugged.
And that concludes today's presentation. If you wouldn't mind, remember